WNCI Columbus, your station for news, weather, and traffic.
Good morning. Here's a look at what's happening. A motorcycle crash early Sunday morning in Marion County left one person dead. The State Highway Patrol says 27-year-old Seth Reese of Marion failed to negotiate a curve along Caledonia Northern Road. The bike left the road and went into a field where it overturned. Medics said Reese died at the scene. He was wearing a helmet at the time. Former President Biden has advanced prostate cancer that's now in his bones. Spokesman for the former president says the diagnosis came after doctors found a nodule on his prostate Friday that required further evaluation. Cleanup efforts continue after deadly storms tore through the central U.S. Friday and early Saturday. More than 24 people were killed. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear confirming 18 deaths in his state alone. St. Louis, Missouri was also especially hit hard by tornadoes, with the forecast for even more possible this week. I'm Scott Jennings.
Dave and Jimmy, happy Monday. We're just a couple days away from a lot of society turning themselves upside down. You got kids, you're on a schedule. Soon, you're going to have kids, and they're not going anywhere. We'll adjust accordingly. Now, your celebrity news.
This is pretty funny. So, you know who Dan Gilbert is?
Dan Gilbert of...
He owns the Cavaliers.
Okay.
Well, Cavaliers had such a great season. Best record in the Eastern Conference this year. So it makes sense to think they're going to go very far in the playoffs.
Okay.
And of course, they get kicked in the nads and lose second round.
Like nobody's business.
To Indiana. Well, Dan Gilbert, as soon as the season was over, he paid more than $500,000 to install snow machines in the ceiling that can blast confetti after each win. And he's going to call it a Cavalanche.
Oh, great.
They're going to create a Cavalanche at the end of every series.
Okay.
So he spent over $500,000 to install this. It was used one time after the first round. Yeah, one time. So how much does that suck? You spent all that money.
They'll use it for other things, and yes, even the Cavaliers. Every time they win, it'll be some.
Well, no, this is just for when they won a playoff series. They were going to use it. That's how much crap comes out of there.
Once you've installed the thing, doesn't have to stay.
But you got to win some series.
Well, I know. So
well, they've only won one.
They win an exhibition series, it'll snow.
Yeah, maybe. The Diddy trial goes to week 2, starting today. It's going to have. It's going to be just loaded with people we don't know and telling stories about Diddy. There's Jane, a former girlfriend. Mia, one of his assistants. A bunch of his former employees will take the stand this week, and male sex workers who were at the freak-offs, hired to be there. They're going to get into what they did at the freak-offs. Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you're sex worker number 7 and you're asked to go there, what do you get out of it? Unless you're in on the lawsuit, which you're not.
If you were wronged, don't you want some sort of justice?
You're a sex worker. Were you really not surprised when he said, dude, dive in that pool of lube and do, you know.
That's what you do for a living, and you should be abused and be okay with it.
I don't think it's that unusual. Do you?
Doesn't matter. The law is the law.
Well, you don't know that he'd abuse these people. Yeah, he asked me to do this weird thing upside down on a trapeze.
Jimmy, what we've learned in the past 2 months about Diddy, for real. Not alleged. Real abuse, real physical abuse.
So you think he beat the male sex workers?
No. I'm saying right now, what we know is still damning. So they're just looking to pile on and get as many people at the scene possible.
I'm just saying.
I know you might view a sex worker as a lower form of human dignity, but they're still there. They're still there.
Well, yeah, but you
gotta stay between listen, you're a sex worker. Okay, you play within the lines, and you don't do things you don't want to do, or you don't receive abuse you don't need.
Maybe they're just there to say I was part of the freak off.
Listen, contrarian.
I'm not. I'm just telling you.
Diddy's waxing people around horribly.
That's not why he's on trial. Here's Tom Cruise admitting that there is going to be a Top Gun 3, and he's working on that, and Days of Thunder 2.
All of these things we're working on, we're discussing, Days of Thunder and Top Gun Maverick, and there's numerous other films that we're actively working on right now that, I'm shooting a film, I'm prepping a film. I'm posting a film.
Oh, God, he would suck to date. We just heard who he was dating there. I forget her name. That real pretty actress, but he sounds so serious and intense. Although we saw him at Taylor Swift, he was dancing around, being a little goofy.
Because he told himself to do that.
Yes. Here's Dua Lipa. I love what she's doing. She's covering, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's like Taylor Swift or she would cover somebody in whatever city she was in, if they were from that city. But she was in... Where's Daft Punk from?
They're French.
Then maybe that's what she's doing. She was in France doing a concert, and here she is covering Daft Punk. And she's doing covers every concert, and I love it. And you have a lot of confidence to cover people. She does it. Taylor Swift used to do it. She would cover, like she would come here and cover Rascal Flatts. She would cover some
21 Pilots.
Well, no, she actually did Rascal Flatts.
Oh, she did?
Yeah,
I thought you were just making it up.
No. She would cover whatever city she's in. She would cover someone from that city. So she couldn't.
You want to
last 2 seconds with a 21 Pilots song.
A small side note on Daft Punk. You hear celebrities that don't like to be trolled or don't like to be followed, don't like paparazzi. Daft Punk did it and did it right. They wore
their helmets?
Motorcycle helmets for their entire lives. They could be sitting outside with Uber Eats right now and you wouldn't know them.
Yeah, you don't get any chicks that way. That's half the reason you're in rock.
Well, they're not in rock. They're in
EDM.
I press this button. And
I
it
know.
makes it
Well, Marshmallow. He could be hanging out with Daft Punk right now. Right. You know, Starbucks, we wouldn't recognize him.
And we're going to Starbucks to see who we can find.
Yep.
This is Dave and Jimmy.
You're listening to the #1 rated morning zoo
with Dave and Jimmy.
WNCI.